Peace and divine love. I'm Anukijewels, and today I'm doing a video about why I don't feed into the COVID thing. I know this is a very controversial topic, and I'm probably gonna rub some people the wrong way with what I'm about to say, but truth is truth. And I kind of want to let you guys research some of this stuff yourself, so that it's not just all coming from what I experienced. Because if you research it and you think back, you probably had some experiences yourself. That's simple. So, the first place I'm going to start is with the eyes. How the eyes work. First of all, you don't see anything. Not technically what you think you see. So this kind of goes into the whole thing when I talk about how this world is an illusion. And people kind of take it like, when I say illusion, meaning that it's fake. Like, no, it's real. You know what I'm saying? It exists, but not in the way that you think it does. So when I'm saying illusion, look at it as something that appears to be something that is not. Is how the eyes work, right? So the anatomy of the eye. This is simple stuff you can look up. With most things that I'm going to put on here, I'm going to put like images so that you can look these things up and kind of get an idea of what I'm saying too. But how the eyes work. So you got the parts of the eye, the cornea, the pupil, the iris, the lens, the retina, right? And so on and so forth. But this, because it's more intricate than that, but just the basis of it. Light transmits through the cornea, the pupil, controlled by the iris and the lens, and is sent back to the retina, right? The retina controls, it has like the rods and the cones, which gives it like the shape and the colors and things like that. And from there, it's sent to the optic nerve. The optic nerve is what transmits the images into your brain, which would be like, it's like in the middle part of your brain. I'm going to put a picture up of this too, but it's like in the middle part of your brain, the hippocampus area, where the, the lateral geniculate nucleus is located. And this is where the images get further transmitted into images until they reach the back of your brain, where the visual cortex is located, where it's actually transmitted into the actual image that you think you see. So you may be asking, like, well, if that's the case, then how do we all see some of the same things? Because everybody don't perceive the same way. So let's be clear about that. But how do we all, or most of us, see the same things or at the same time? And the answer to that is frequencies. Everything has a frequency. Everything here has a frequency. So what you're picking up on is frequencies. And from the mental reservoir is where you get what those frequencies mean. And depending on your perception, meaning your experiences, the things that you've been through, your environment, the things you were taught, that makes up your perception. So depending on your perception, that is how you would interpret what you think you're seeing. It's kind of the same thing with the ears. The sounds, the tones you hear is frequencies, and they all play together. Just like the ear plate, balances you out. It all works together. That's the point I'm trying to make. So with the eyes and the ears, these things are important for one to note, because together, this is how they manipulate the perception of many through the eyes and the ears. These two senses are very important in the manipulation of what you think you're experiencing or what you are experiencing. Before I go on to atoms, let me give you a quick little breakdown of something, right? This probably plays like one of the biggest roles, besides me knowing like how the eyes work, the ears, and then how the brain works, the mind works, that too. But this story that I'm about to tell you, it plays a really big role in why I don't trust like what the government say, why I don't trust what the doctors and the hospitals and all that say, because I've had my own personal experience to know that they lie. Like flat out, they lie. Okay, so back in 2008, okay, I was pregnant and I was having issues with the pregnancy. So the first experience, I was throwing up blood. And it was because I literally couldn't keep anything down, not even water. Like I was throwing up a lot. And then when I threw up blood, like, okay, I got to go to the hospital. So went to the hospital. And I did start spotting too during this time as well. But anyway, so go to the hospital and the nurse, I'm going to try to make this a little short. I'm not going to go through every single detail, but the nurse, the doctor comes in and says that I had chlamydia. So at this point, me and my children's father had been together for like 3 years. And so I'm like, I haven't been with nobody else. And to be honest, I trusted that he hadn't been with nobody else. So I'm like, you know, what's going on? But I'm not going to lie, when a doctor's in your face telling you that you got a disease, a STD, and you know you haven't been with anybody else, yeah, you're going to side at a person that you with. I don't care. Like, even if it's for a moment, you're going to side at him like, whoa, hold on. Like, I ain't supposed to have nothing, my dude. You know what I'm saying? So, we both kind of side eyeing each other. You know what I mean? To be honest, because we both like, hold on, I ain't been with nobody. What's going on? What's going on? So, but at this time I was really into health and into, you know, herbs and things like that. So, I already had in my mind that whatever it was they were trying to give me, I wasn't getting, especially with me being pregnant. I'm like, you know, I'm not going to take anything they try to give me for this. So I'm going to herb this out. You know what I mean? So, they wrote a prescription, of course, and I accepted the prescription, but I did know that I wasn't going to go and fill it. So, and I think they kind of sensed that too. You know what I'm saying? But, so, you know, the next day, the nurse calls me. Now, I have been in the hospital. I got a lot of family that, you know, have been sick. I got friends that have had miscarriages and things like that. The doctor had never, and I mean, I'm not saying this is, I don't know everybody in the world, so I know everybody's experience is not going to be the same, but I never experienced a doctor calling after a situation like that to make sure you're going to pick up your prescription. And so, well, the nurse. So the nurse called and asked me, did I pick the prescription up? And I was like, no. Well, are you going to pick it up? And I'm like, you know, I'm still not sure about that. And she, you know, she tried to reassure me that what I was going to pick up wasn't going to harm the baby and so on and so forth. So I was still, that made me even more skeptical, like I said, because I had never experienced somebody calling to check and see if you was going to get your medicine after a situation like, you know, you're going to the emergency room. These are like, this is not my doctor or something like this. So it was just kind of odd to me. So the very next day, the doctor calls. And again, I'm shocked. Like, okay, so now it's 2 days in a row they calling to see if I'm going to pick this medicine up. What the hell? You know what I'm saying? So, he's on the same thing, you know, like, well, you want to pick it up and so on and so forth. And I'm like, you know, I'm not sure yet. I don't really know. And, you know, he's like putting urgency on it. Like, you know, you need to do this. You know, you don't want it to get too far because you can pass it to the baby, this, and the third. I still wasn't convinced that I had shit. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, I had been tested. Me and my children's father had been tested before we got together. And neither one of us had been with anybody outside of that. So it was just really bugging me. So this is where it got trippy. After the doctor said that, he continued to say, well, we got the other results back, and you also have gonorrhea and trichomonas. What? So, first of all, what he probably didn't know, because I'm from Chicago, so I don't live where I'm from. So what he probably tested a lot when I was young. You know, I kind of had that little bit of a, you know, thing about like not catching anything. So I kind of know how the process works. And one of the things that I did know is that like gonorrhea, it takes 2 weeks for you to get the results back for that. So when he said that, I was like, what? And I asked him, I'm like, how did you get the results back that fast? He claimed he put a rush on it because of me being pregnant. He wanted to go ahead and, get it all taken care of, so on and so forth. Okay. So when my children's father came home, I told him what happened, and I was really concerned. Like, I don't know what they trying to do, but I don't like it. So I was like, I really don't think we got shit. And I was like, I'm not comfortable with that. So I want to go get retested. So we ended up going to a free clinic here. When we went, they tested me, but they would not, they tested me, but they was like, they couldn't give me anything, that I had to go to like my actual doctor. So they tested my children's father, because they didn't deal with pregnancy. Let me not leave that out. They didn't, at the free clinic, they didn't really deal with pregnancies and stuff like that. We got the result back, and and it was 2 weeks. It was 2 weeks. But what they did was, my children's father, they gave him medicine, because at this time let me not say that, because at this time it wasn't a free clinic no more. Like, you had to pay. I want to say it was like, they called it like a donation or something like that, but you had to pay like $5 or $10. I don't remember the exact amount, to be seen. So they just went on and gave him they gave him a dose of something that I don't remember what it was, and then they gave him a prescription for the rest. And they was just like, just so you don't have to come back. Like, if we call you and say, you got it, you already got the prescription, you got to come back, you just go get the prescription filled. But we can give you something for this. Like I said, I don't remember which one they gave him something for there, but they gave him something. So sure enough, 2 weeks passed, get the results back. And I keep everything. So I'm sure that I have this, like the results of this, in some folder somewhere that I probably just haven't looked in a while. But I keep everything. So yeah, he got the results back. We got our results back. And they were negative on everything. Neither one of us, and he had took medicine. You know what I'm saying? Neither one of us, not trichomonas. So then that leads me to wonder, why would these doctors, why would these nurses call me and try to get me to take something while I'm pregnant and I don't have anything? Okay. If you can pick up what I'm saying with that, then you'll get why I'm saying I don't get into this COVID thing like that, because with the doctors and the government, like, it's all a workup, and they need us to be in fear. They need us to activate this within ourselves. So that's what it was. When I go back into this story or whatever a little bit, what was one of the things that I said? I never was convinced. Like, from the beginning, I side-eyed my children's father a little bit, because of course, if somebody's saying you got something, and it's like, yeah, for that brief moment, I was like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? How do I got anything? But like I said, after the adrenaline from that feeling wore off, I was looking like, wait a minute, we shouldn't have, like, what the, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's weird. And then, like I said, then they call, and they call again. So it prompted all that, for me to go and see. So that prompted me to do a little bit more research. And then I got into HIV. A lot of people say that HIV was made to, or was targeted for us, by some melanated beings. But that would give HIV validation, and I don't validate it. You know what I'm saying? And the reason why I don't validate it is because they're not testing for HIV. They're testing for antibodies. So when you get your results back, I have seen negative, it say negative, but most of the results, and especially mine in particular, that's what I'm going to speak about. Mine. I'm not going to speak about somebody else's that said negative. Mine said non-responsive. Excuse me. Which is another way of saying negative in the medical field. So this lets you know that they're not testing for HIV. They're testing for antibodies. And if you want to be real, your body will produce antibodies when it feels it's under attack, period. So yeah, they may be looking for specific antibodies, but that does not mean that that HIV is real because they're testing for an antibody that is toward HIV. And I'm gonna get into the reason why I say that too a little bit more when I get into the atoms and all this stuff too, which I'm gonna get into now. Let me get into that now because I can double back to this. But the anatomy of an atom. First of all, what is an atom made of? Protons, neutrons, and electrons, right? Most of the atom volume is filled up with matter. Matter is anything that occupies space and has mass. Mass is a measure of how much matter is in the object, the mass. So it's made up of 99.999% empty space. That's what I meant to say. So the atom is made up of 99.99999% empty space, and that would leave the rest of it 0.0000000% matter. Okay, which means like that's mass. That's something you actually see. The rest of it is it's like particles. You know what I'm saying? Particles called quarks. That's what it is. The quarks is like the actual mass. It's like the actual matter. And the rest of it is gluons. And this is like what's holding the quarks together, like kind of like a web, like keeping it all together. But this is what would be considered like empty space or potential matter. You know what I'm saying? So, okay. This is like the best example I get is look at it like a fan, right? So with the fan, you have like the blades of the fan, right? So in between the blades, you got like what you would think is empty space. That's what it looks like. But it's still things right there. It's still particles right there. And you turn that fan on and you try to stick your hand, that's my always empty space, you will see what I'm talking about. The potential of that, the wiredness of the gluons, what hold it together, that's still a part of the atom and it still exists. You just can't see it, but it still exists. So that's what it's kind of like. Like the empty part of that fan, like before you turn it on and it get going, that's what it's equivalent to. You know what I'm saying? So if you put your hand in there and there's no movement, like, yeah, you can, it feel like empty space. But if you take your hand out, turn that fan on and try to stick your hand back in there, the blade spinning now is filling up that potential space. It's the same thing with us. Like, because we're moving, because, like the empty space is constantly being filled, and it gives it this look of it's being filled up, but it's really empty space, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? But like I say, it's never, but again, like I said, it's never truly empty. It's full of invisible quantum fields that, again, like I say, you can't see it. So that's the illusion part of it. The electrons in anything repulses the other thing, the other object. So you're not really touching things. You're actually repulsing it. You know what I'm saying? Repelling it. And so because of the way we view things, our senses, our perception, we think we're touching it, but we're not. We're just, we're kind of repelling it. You know what I mean? Like me sitting in this chair, for example. Technically, I feel that I'm sitting in this chair, but it's really my atoms pushing off of it that's giving that feeling that I'm touching it, that I'm on it. This is one of those things that you have to look up for yourself for you to really get what I'm saying about how the atoms in our body and everything here is made of atoms. Like everything here is made of atoms. So this goes back into how we're all connected and how all of these things, everything, if you look at the elements chart, everything that's on the elements chart is a part of you, is a part of the universe. It's a part of the things that you touch, the things you think you touch. It's part of this phone that I'm recording on. It's a part of this pen that I'm holding. It's like all of these things are made up of atoms. It's just a different molecular structure. Okay. So by all these things being connected and all these things already being a part of us, we get into the COVID thing. Now I'm going to bring it back around. All of these things are a part of you. So when you hear things like, okay, let's just say with this COVID, they give you a disease. They tell you what the disease does, how it make you feel, what it'll do to you, the symptoms, all these things. They give you the blueprint for it. And then it's up to you to activate that within yourself, right? It's already like everything. You already have these things, all these diseases and all these things. And now when I say have, I mean they are already a part of your being already. Now, this goes into them putting an image out there. They have to give you the image. They have to tell you and show you, because this is how you bring it into your reality. If they never said this existed, or this you can get this, or this is how you get it, you would know. If they just said, hey, it's a disease going on around here, you would have to fill in the blanks of what the disease is, what it does, and all this. So you will go off your perception, right? What you know about diseases thus far. So what they do is they tell you what the disease is, the symptoms of it, what can happen, and all these things. And then you get scared of catching the disease, and so you activate it within yourself. Again, like I say, I'm not disputing or agreeing to whether or not the COVID exists, because I know in a form it does. What I'm saying is it does not have to become a part of your reality. You make it that. I tell people this all the time, like when they're watching this on the news, and it's okay to stay informed, but how many stories are you going to watch about COVID and who's dying from it, and how many, like, nobody's paying attention that ever since this came about, nobody's dying from nothing else but COVID now? So every other thing fucking is wiped off the face of the earth except for COVID. That's the only thing that exists that's killing people now. Nobody's dying from gunshot wounds or nothing, just COVID. So it's like, but they have to do this so that we stay focused on it. They have to keep it in your mind. So that, like, first of all, let's get into this. What is pandemic? What does pandemic mean? Pandemic means, etymologically speaking, it means all people. So that goes back to what I'm saying, that all people, this exists in all people already. Everybody's not going to activate it in themselves. And they know this. This is why they going into this vaccine thing. Because it's not happening fast enough. You got people that feel like me, that's like, this shit ain't, nah, you got people that's like, it's not real. You got people that's like, okay, it's real, but it ain't got nothing to do with me. I ain't finna have that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, and there are people that know, like, the people that's getting it is because they're activating it within themselves. It's not you thinking that they got you thinking that if you go next to somebody, this person giving it to you, if this person got it and they cough or they sneeze and all the stuff, you're gonna catch it. If you don't wear a face mask 24/7, like, first of all, let me clarify something on that. Wearing that face mask all day like that, you are making yourself sick. You are lowering your own immune system, which is making you susceptible to being sick. And then when you get sick, you like, oh, it was the COVID. No, you did it to yourself. You're breathing in carbon monoxide all day. And then you wonder why your lungs would be failing in some type of way. Like, I mean, I need people to think about this. Like, seriously. But anywho, what is a virus? A virus is defined as a slimy liquid or a poison. This slimy liquid or poison is is in your brain. You're activating it. You're activating it with your thoughts. You're activating it with your fear, with your emotions, with your lack of educating yourself about what's really going on, with your lack of thinking for yourself, instead of just letting somebody tell you what you should be thinking and how you should be going about this, how you should be looking. You need to be doing this. Like, you're activating it within yourself. They're not doing it. Like I say, I'm not saying that it does or it does not exist. Because again, like I said, all things exist within all. You know what I'm saying? So it does exist, but it does not have to be activated within you. It's easy. Like, so the quarantine. It's easy for them to push their agenda when they got us like so scared to even touch and talk to each other. a lot of our communication is through social media right now. Our phones or whatever is through media. And so what we're getting is stories. What we're getting is what somebody said. It's like you're not really seeing these things for yourself. And when you do see these things, it's like, again, you're going off what somebody telling you. So let's just say somebody transcend the thought. They say, oh, well, they transcended from COVID. Or they tell you, oh, all these people went to this party and everybody there got COVID. And so you get worried. Like I say, it's all really fear-based. And if you go deeper into what corona means, it means crown. It's a big ass mind fuck. I've been saying this shit for like a year. I mean, I haven't been on YouTube this whole time saying it, but like on my Facebook page and people I talk to, it's a big ass mind fuck. It's in your head. It's in your mind. And they know this. Now we get into the number 19, which was the year that this all kicked off or whatever. But that's significant in numerology, because 19 is a number that includes 1 and 9. It's a starter and a finisher. And together equals 10, which it also symbolizes completion. So 19 is a number that determines for itself what should and should not be done for humanity. This is what 19 means in the numerology world. Okay. I get into tarot, and I'm bringing all these things like this because I'm trying to show you how it all connects. It's not a separate thing. It's all one thing that connects into one thing. It's all one. You know what I'm saying? Everything that I said, it all ties into one big agenda. How the eyes work, how the ears work, the thing I told you about the hospital, the atoms, the elements chart, how all these elements are a part of us and everything that is of this universe. Like all of these things tie into the same thing. It's all one thing. And at the end of the day, that one thing boils down to us not fearing the things they're saying. Research, empower yourself so that you know what to do, what not to do, how to go about these things. So you don't be activating shit that they want you to activate and making yourself sick. And then you turn around and be the victim, like, oh, the government doing, like, there's so many people that say it, and that's why I say I know this is not going to be popular, because they're, oh, the government, the enemy. The enemy is within you. You the enemy. You are the poison and you are the cure. Point blank, period. Their rule has been up for so long now, but we still under the impression that they are in control because they're using our power to do this. So that's what I was saying about the next step, the tarot. So when I was looking at my tarot, like something just told me to get one of my tarot decks. Is I have a major arcana deck that is like a hip hop deck. And so I was looking at the different numbers in the tarot deck and what the cards meant. So the first number that I looked at was the number 1, which is the Magician. And that deck is Schoolboy Q. We all know that school is another word for hell. And then the number 9, which is the Hermit. Let me go back to the Magician. Okay, first, let me go back. I'm skipping. I'm sorry. Let me go back. So the Magician, that card represents you manifesting things, right? That's what it is. It's about you manifesting. Long story short, the next card I looked at was the number 9, which is the Hermit. That was MF Doom. Okay, this is the rap. These are rappers. Okay, this is my hip hop tarot deck. So it's MF Doom. Okay. The Hermit represents you going inward. It's also enlightenment. It's eternal knowledge. You know what I'm saying? It's also being alone. You know what I mean? So they can go into this quarantine thing. You know what I mean? And also the Magician go into us manifesting these things. And then you got the Sun, which is the number 19. So when I put it both together, the number 19 with Sun. The Sun is like the happiest card in the deck, right? This is like the most positive card in the deck. That card is represented by Old Dirty Bastard. And I thought that was interesting because Old Dirty Bastard knew some things. Like, I don't care. I love me some Old Dirty Bastard. You know what I'm saying? Like, he kept that shit a buck. You know what I'm saying? Like, he didn't bite his tongue. He kept that shit a buck. And I love that in anybody. So I think that's interesting that they gave that card to Old Dirty Bastard, because also too, he was a cheerful person. Like, you know, at least, okay, I'm gonna say this. He lived this life. So when I say cheerful, I mean, I'm not saying he didn't go through things, but he made the best of whatever it was he was going through. He didn't let that shit get him down and have him walking around all depressed and sad looking and, you know, fucked up until the end, when, you know, he was feeling like he was being followed and things like that. But that's significant. You know what I'm saying? Because the people who are behind the beings that, I'm gonna say the beings that are behind pushing this agenda are old dirty bastards. So I thought that was interesting. But also with the sun card, it also lets me know that it's a positive, it can be a positive ending to this, depending on how we think, depending on our mind. I was like, dimension means out of one's mind, and dimensions means to measure out. Okay, so they're using the dimensions of our mind to manifest the reality that suits them. I'm here to tell you that we need to be manifesting the reality that suits us. You know, this is a time for us to create for ourselves. This is the age of Aquarius. This is a very mental state of energy that we're in right now. Images and sounds make up our reality. Okay? These are the frequencies that we're living through. These are the frequencies that we're made of. You know what I'm saying? So that's important. Like, this is very important. This is why the things that we watch, we listen to, it plays such a big part. It's why when now that you go on your phone, every single, like, things that ain't got nothing to do with COVID, you go on a website to look something up, they got COVID at the top, and do the COVID, and it's like everything, and it's like it's to constantly remind you that of the reality they want you to participate in. And it's not really a way to get around it as long as you're engaging in the things of this realm like that. It's kind of hard to get around it. But I will say that you can change even that subconsciously. It takes 21 days to change a habit. So you can create neural pathways that will get you out of this. That's what my point is. So earlier when I was talking about the eyes and how the middle part of the brain, the hippocampus part, it's a lot of things going in that middle part of the brain, right? But in the middle part of the brain, where the first signal is transferred from the optic nerve into the brain, it goes into that middle part, which is like the lateral geniculate. Damn, I can't get that word. Geniculate nucleus, where that part of the area is. So in the same area is also where the pineal gland is. It's also where the amygdala area is. So if you know what the amygdala area is, that is the part of the brain that is responsible for fear. So this is why they constantly bombard you with COVID. Everything you go on, if you watch the TV, you're on the radio, you go on a website to look something up, they got something about the COVID. And it's to keep that in your brain, to keep it, that image, that thought in your mind, so that you manifesting this through fear. Excuse me. Fear is a very powerful tool to manifest. Now you can use that and transmute it, you know what I'm saying? But a lot of people not doing it. A lot of people are very afraid and they're using it to manifest more things to fear. I kind of fell back for a little while, and a big part of it was because I'm steady telling people this, like, you're creating this, you're making this your reality. And I realized that it's their, like, that's what they have to do for themselves. So when I go back and say the 19, this is for anybody. You are creating. So whatever you participate as far as it go, that becomes your reality. So if you thinking, if you in this mindset of what you hearing, like, because you got people that's pushing this. These people in this media, in the media, they also pushing this agenda too. You know what I'm saying? So if you get yourself in this mindset of, I fear what's going on, I fear what's going to happen, and they're going to do this to me, they're going to, like, you are creating that as your reality. Get that shit out of your head. Stop creating that shit. Stop saying, well, but this is what they saying though. And they stop saying that shit. What do you say? What do you go, like, instead of talking about what they want you to talk about, what do you want to see? Wouldn't you much rather you not have to deal with that shit at all? Wouldn't you much rather you not even be affected by COVID? Like, I'm not getting that shit. Wouldn't that be a better vibration for you, a better frequency? That's not affecting me and my family. We're going to have our own business. We're going to open our own things. We're going to have this. We're going to do that. Like, we're not taking them vaccines. You know what I'm saying? Like, those would be more positive thoughts that will kind of replace, for lack of a better way to put it, the fear that they already placed in them. Start feeding yourself things that empower you rather than make you a victim. Right now, a lot of people they talking about this in a victim mode. Oh, even if they think that they're not. Like, I'm looking at it, and you can feel, you can see, you can sense the fear that they feel. Oh my God, they're gonna do this, and they're gonna come, they're gonna chip us, they're gonna, like, all of these things you're saying, you're affirming in your life. You're affirming it. It don't matter what the fuck they say. You are affirming it. Not them, you. They can say a million fucking things, and that shit could never fucking affect you if you don't let it affect you. But when you start claiming that shit, you talking about it in a sense of how they want you to talk about it, then you are accepting their reality as your own. I think that I have covered everything that I wanted to cover as far as that go. I just kind of wanted to give a little briefing on why I don't feed into the COVID thing. Like I say, I'm not disputing it or agreeing with it, because it is a reality for some people. So I'm not trying to invalidate what they need to experience. But for those of us who know this can't be life, this can't be us, it gotta be more. You know what I'm saying? For those of us that know that this is for you, change the thoughts that you're thinking. All these things are connected. And if you want to be a part of that agenda, you want to be a part of that reality, by all means, I can't stop you. But I'm telling you, there is a way out. And that way out is in. You got to change how you're thinking. You have to go in and change how you're thinking. That's how you transmute the energy. That's how you transmute what you're seeing around you. You don't keep feeding that shit. You don't keep watching this shit on the news. You don't keep listening to this shit on the radio. You don't keep, you know what I'm saying, having conversations with people where they telling you that, oh, you better cover your face. You're going to get, don't engage in that shit. Don't engage in that shit. If that's what they want to do, you, like, my best advice for that to be, if somebody get to going into that and shit, you let them have it. You walk. It's not to be on no rule shit, but I'm not finna engage in that shit, because I'm not finna implant that shit into my subconscious. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm telling you. You're implanting this into your subconscious, whether you know it or not. And then you walk around here, you scared, and you don't even know why you scared. You're like, well, why am I scared? I know these motherfuckers be lying. Why am I so scared? Because you implanted into your subconscious to be scared. So you plan it out in your reality. But I am going to end this video, because like I said, I don't know how much time I got left now. The video had already cut off the first time, and it probably is going to cut off again. But I just wanted to drop this video to just, let people know that this is not what people think it is. And we are creating this. We are doing it. Like, you can't blame the government. All these enemies and shit that you got outside of you is you. You want this. Because if you didn't, you would simply reject it. Peace and love.